Hey Internet, this is Nate, and welcome back to Vampire Survivors. I'm going to do a very quick video just highlighting what all got released with the newest update and my thoughts on each of those individual changes. To kind of do a TLDR, I feel like this was a change equivalent to maybe like 2 patches during like the early access phase. So like double a normal patch, but not really like a massive overhaul and changes. But I think let's start with the biggest ones first, and then we can talk about some of like the minor ones after that. So the 2 biggest changes are, one, there is a new final boss. So let me just grab any character here and we can jump into. So there's a new final boss. It's this eudaimonia, where basically this final boss, the first 2 times you visit, unlocks the 2 new modes, inverse and endless, and I'll talk about those in a minute. And then once you've unlocked both of them and attempted, again, you only have to attempt a run of each of them, you don't have to complete them, then you can actually fight this as a final boss, and you can fight it as many times as you want. And when you finish this boss, you get the actual true end credit sequence, which is funny, and you should do it, and it's exciting. The boss fight, I would say, is a little bit scripted. So there's parts of it that seem really scary, but actually you find out they're just mostly scripted. I guess you could die, but I think largely it's a pretty straightforward final boss fight. Again, scripted boss fight. But that's the first big change. So there's this final boss fight, and this final boss fight, the first 2 times you go there, as long as you have the requisite items, you will unlock inverse mode and endless mode. Requisite items meaning other types of pickups. For example, the pickups that are down here. So the Ars Gouda through Randomazzo. So as you pick these up, you cash them in kind of to trade them in. I guess also Grim Grimoire, but not really. But yeah, you cash these in order to unlock the last 2 items, which are the Gracia's Mirror and the 7th Trumpet. Okay. So that's the first big change. Second big change is those 2 modes that do get unlocked. So again, we have now 2 new modes, endless mode and inverse mode. Let's jump into an inverse mode, and I'll just kind of show you how that works. So inverse mode is the level gets flipped, it gets a color change, and it's much, much more difficult. Keep in mind you can combine both or keep them in separately. But basically, so we're in the forest, or we're not in the forest, we're in the... wait, I thought I picked the other. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is the garden, and basically everything is reversed, right? All the plants are upside down, all the enemies are upside down, and the map itself is upside down. Let's do a better example. I don't know why I picked that stage. El Melisse. Let's just grab the library. I think that's the most obvious. So again, in the library, now everything is reversed, right? So bottom is top, top is bottom. I guess the enemies aren't upside down, just those plants were for some reason. But then also, in addition to everything being upside down, the enemies are significantly harder to kill, especially early on, compared to like standard mode. So it's a challenge mode. Does it even tell you the stats? I don't even know if it tells you the stats if you change between inverse and non-inverse. Let me see if it does. So if I go to like the invade library... Oh yeah, it does. So it massively increases their HP, also increases your gold get in addition. And I think it's the same everywhere. Yeah, it's an extra 200% enemy HP on top of, everything else. So it just makes them a lot tankier basically, but otherwise it's unchanged. This mode in particular I think is kind of nice. It does make it more challenging, but I will say that I would have liked to have seen different waves out of the inverse mode. I think that would be really cool if you had same map, different waves. You could even swap, swap library with tower and swap forest with dairy plant. Like just give us a different set of enemies in the same map. I think would have been really interesting. As it is, I kind of feel it's a little bit of a letdown. All it does is just increase their HP by 200%. So it's fine. It does make things more challenging, but I would say largely doesn't really change too much. The maps are basically the same other than the fact that they're upside down. Then you get endless mode. So endless mode, the way that it works is everything is on a 30-minute cycle. So instead of having the Reaper come at 30 minutes, instead the map resets you get your buddy. Where is he? You get your buddy Trouser. Comes back. Where is Trouser? Am I an insane person? Is he just down here? Where the heck is he? I feel like he's always at the crossroads, but I'm struggling to find him. I must be blind or dumb or both. Definitely possible that I'm both. There he is. Okay, there's Trouser. So Trouser will come back. He will offer you additional Arcanas every 30 minutes, and he will offer you additional revives every 30 minutes. And the game just keeps going. Every time you go through a cycle, a 30-minute cycle, the enemies get more health, they get more damage, there's more of them, and they get a little faster. So I, for example, did like a 90-minute run and then I ended up quitting because 90 minutes is a long time to play. And at least limit breaks seem to outscale largely the damage. Not completely. I think eventually I would have gotten overwhelmed, but it was kind of keeping pace. Of course, I was with Queen Sigma, so that's a little bit of a distorted view. But yeah, it's not like it changes any of the gameplay. It just makes it on a cycle, and every cycle the enemies get harder and harder until you die, and then otherwise it goes endless. It's pretty much what I was hoping would not come out of endless mode, to be perfectly frank. As I've said many times, my least favorite part of Vampire Survivors is when all of your build is finalized and you're just like living. All the tactical part is out, and it's just like watch special effects on screen. Most of the time at that point, you don't even have to move anymore. And that's kind of what endless mode's become. All of the infinites are still in there. So if you want to go infinite in endless mode, you certainly can. It's just play until your computer craps out. So again, a little bit disappointing for me. I think Inverse and endless mode, I think they need to be reworked, to be honest, if they're going to add more playtime. There's also like literally only one unlockable tied to inverse mode, and it's a secret that's locked into a map. So I just feel like there isn't a lot getting out of it. Like, it's cool they implemented the two modes. It's cool that there's a harder mode that makes it even harder, but I feel like those modes both didn't radically change anything else. And for me, were again a little bit underwhelming. Okay, so that's like the I would say the top changes. Those are like big changes. So what are some minor changes? So minor changes are there are some new options. Oh, excuse me. Let's just be the tree. There are some new options like classic sound versus blast process. You can look at my video. I played my entire stream on blast processed. Some sounds are cooler, but some sounds get more annoying with blast processed. I think the classic is still better overall, but it's kind of nice. You can switch things up if you get bored of the sound. In addition, you can visually invert stages when you do it. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can be inverse mode without it visually inverting. You can hide stage progression. So now you can see, for example, which character has beaten which map. Now it doesn't show you like whether they did it on hurry mode or hyper mode or inverse mode or endless mode. It just says whether they beat it or not. I guess you can't technically beat it on endless mode, but you still get to at least see who has completed which map, which is kind of nice for like stats purpose. But you can turn that off and on as you want. In terms of new actual content, there is some changes to Trouser that I think are quite relevant. If you play Trouser, if you're playing in inverse mode, then when you go to Trouser, in addition to his normal stuff, he will also give you where is Trouser? I always have a hard time finding Trouser. In addition to the normal stuff, he will also give you an Arcana right at the beginning, which is really nice. It does cost 20,000, but you can also get extra banish, reroll, and skip, and more than one of them apparently. Unlimited, I don't know, but just to kind of help out with inverse mode. It's not in the normal mode, just in inverse mode. And then, as I mentioned before, if you play endless mode, Trouser will come back every 30 minutes and give you another Arcana and another revive. So that's kind of cool. Other content, you'll notice I picked a new character. This character is a secret character. Spoilers, if you want to figure it out yourself. If you're okay with being spoiled, to unlock Avatar and Furnace, you go into the library in inverse mode, and you just walk to the right, and you take both birds. Now, the reason you need both birds, you'll find an enemy. You're going to find a purple trickster sitting on top of a piano. And you have to kill him. And he's kind of difficult because he throws a bunch of banshees at you, which is really annoying. Those are the exploding banshee enemies. But if you kill him, you can walk up to the piano. Now, if you don't have the birds, you have to figure out how to play the piano in the right keys to unlock the character, or really just to unlock the ability to get the character. If you don't have the birds, you're going to have to just guess, and you will guess wrong. If you have the birds will show you which notes to press. And then you press those notes. It takes you into this weird, like, crazy world. I mean, you can watch it in my stream. It was pretty early on in the stream that I did this. But yeah, if you go into this like crazy world where there's a bunch of enemies, you have to unlock these coffins, and finally after you unlock the last coffin, you have to fight the boss, and then the boss is the character, and once you kill the character, then you get to take him. His thing is that he gets a lot of different stats. He gets extra move speed, extra curse, extra might. And eventually his move speed becomes so high that he's extremely difficult to control. So very interesting, very different type of character than normal. And then he comes with a brand new weapon. And there are actually 2 new weapons and 1 new weapon evolved. So the new weapon that he comes with is the one you just saw. It is Flames of Misspell. It is basically Bracelet if you could aim Bracelet. And eventually, as it gets to max level and if you have good cooldown, it turns into almost like an NFT. So that's this new one. It can evolve. It evolves by combining together with Tyrono's Box. So if you max out Tyrono's Box, you max out Flames of Misspell, you will get Ashes of Misspell. And Ashes of Misspell is really interesting because as you kill enemies, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, which makes it kind of an infinite scaling, even if you don't have Limit Break, which is very interesting. Now, the scaling is not crazy. It's not like massive damage, but you will see it start to increase over time as you're killing enemies. The other new weapon is called Greatest Jubilee. You unlock the Greatest Jubilee by watching the end credits sequence of the game after defeating the final boss. And it's very unique in that as it explodes, and it just like will randomly explode on the screen in a firework, it has a chance to generate new light sources like torches and stuff like that. And the higher your luck, the more likely it is to generate those torches. So those are the new weapons. That's the new weapon Evolve. There is no new accessories. There are these 2 items, which I talked about before. There are no new Arcanas. So I think that pretty much covers it in terms of actual new content. Beyond new content, there's also like lore. So now there is a lore for every single character, which is kind of cool. So you can also see how many you've defeated. You can see if they have any skills. You can see where you can find them, and so on and so on and so on. So just kind of interesting. And then there's also finally a bunch of new skins. So new skins are Giovanna. So Giovanna, old versus new. Oh, Papilla, old versus new. Who else? There's the Avatar, but he doesn't have an alternate skin. And Red Death, old versus new. I think that's it. Oh, Missing No has a whole bunch of different skins. That's right. So you can look at all different versions of Missing No skins as well. And that covers everything. So like I said, it's like probably the equivalent of 2 early access patches. I'm very curious to see how the game develops. They did confirm they will continue to support the game post-launch, as long as there's interest and people are still playing it. But they are also going to be working on a new game. So that's kind of exciting. But for now, this has been Nate. This is the full release overview. Let me know what you guys think, those that are playing the full release, if you agree with me. I would say in general, slightly disappointed in what we got out of this. I think that the 2 modes could have been fleshed out a little bit better. The new content is fun, but similar to all the other new content, once you unlock it and play it, you get a couple hours and then you're kind of done with it. But still hopeful to see that, they're going to continue to support the game. Let's see what they end up adding into it. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.